Okay, let's dive into this explainer. You know, the last person on Earth is literally one of the most overused tropes in media. We see it in movies, books, video games, all the time. But here's the thing, almost all of them get the actual logistics completely wrong. We look at those empty, cinematic streets and wonder, hey, how would I fare? It sounds like the ultimate survival setup, right? An entirely empty world just waiting for you to explore it. But when we actually look at the data and the cold, hard logic of how our modern world operates, waking up as the absolute last human on Earth wouldn't be a peaceful vacation. It would be an intensely fast-paced physical crisis, followed immediately by a genuinely crushing psychological weight.
So, what if you were the last human on Earth? I want you to directly imagine this intense reality for a second. Really try to picture it. You wake up, you step outside, and suddenly, 8 billion people are just gone. The most absolutely crucial thing to understand here is that the world wouldn't simply be a freeze frame. It wouldn't just be a static photograph of yesterday. Without us, the Earth would start changing at an absolutely alarming speed. You see, our cities, our infrastructure, literally our entire environment, has been meticulously molded by constant daily human intervention. Without that constant tweaking, nature and physics immediately start taking the planet back. But before the concrete even starts to crumble, there is an immediate, overwhelming sensory change you'd have to process.
And that is absolute, total silence. The very first thing that would hit you actually isn't an immediate physical danger. It's the silence. Take a moment to really think about what that means. Right now, wherever you are, there is always the distant hum of traffic, maybe passing airplanes, or just the low, constant murmur of a mechanized civilization. Suddenly, all of it, the whole shebang, is just turned off. It would be an incredibly jarring sensory shock. In fact, studies show that when people are placed in anechoic chambers, those are rooms designed to be completely 100% silent, they often begin to hallucinate sounds. Or, get this, they can even hear their own blood pumping within minutes. The sudden, profound emptiness of a world that has literally stopped moving would be completely physically disorienting.
Section 1. The Infrastructure Countdown. You wouldn't have long to just sit in shock and listen to that silence, though. Modern life runs on a massive, invisible web of continuous human maintenance. We're talking engineers, grid operators, and technicians working around the clock. Without them, things don't just slowly fade away. They collapse on a rigid, predictable timeline. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what that looks like. Between day 1 and day 3, you'd experience the blackout. Automated power grids would start to trip, and lights would go out worldwide as fossil fuel plants run out of their automated fuel feeds. Then, by week 1, we hit the water stop. Municipal water pumps fail because their backup generators finally die, dropping the water pressure in your pipes straight to zero. Moving on, between month 1 and month 3, we enter the hazard zone. Unattended industrial sites, chemical plants, and refineries begin to leak or suffer massive automated failures. And finally, looking a year and beyond, we see the green reset. Roads crack as weeds break through, and unattended dams clog with debris, causing massive localized flooding. Knowing that ticking clock, your physical survival depends on immediate, targeted action using the massive remnants of society. During the blackout phase, your very first step is to scour abandoned supermarkets and hardware stores. You're looking for batteries, solar chargers, and non-perishable food. As the water stops in step 2, you've got to stockpile bottled water and immediately locate a clean, natural freshwater source, or, set up a rain harvesting system. As we hit the hazard zone in step 3, you absolutely cannot stay in the city. To give you an idea of how insanely fast cities fail, underground subway systems would completely flood within just 36 hours. Why? Because the automated sump pumps would lose power. So you must flee those industrial zones and move to rural terrain to avoid toxic leaks and flooding. Finally, for step 4, to survive the green reset, you have to establish long-term farming, foraging, and learn primitive structural maintenance. Basically, you are playing a rapid-fire game of adaptation against failing infrastructure. Section 2, the psychological shift. Okay, let's assume you manage all of that. You beat the ticking clock of the failing grid, you've got food, you've got water, and you've found safe shelter. Well, once the adrenaline of immediate physical survival fades, you're left completely alone with your own mind in an entirely empty world. Physical survival, surprisingly enough, might actually be the relatively easy part. I mean, you essentially have an unlimited VIP pass to every untouched supermarket on Earth. But psychological survival, that is an entirely different beast. Human beings are intensely social creatures. We are hardwired for connection. Without a society, without literally anyone to talk to share a laugh with, or to help, the very concepts of having a schedule or setting goals completely break down. The immense difficulty isn't finding a meal, It's finding a reason to eat it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the echo chamber effect of total isolation would set in almost immediately. To keep your language skills from deteriorating, you would likely find yourself talking to animals, to inanimate objects, or maybe even to old video recordings. Think about it. You're surrounded by the incredible achievements of humanity, art, architecture, technology, but with absolutely no one to share them with, you aren't an active participant in society anymore. You would become the lone curator of a museum containing the entirety of human history. You are simply maintaining the memory of a species that is completely, undeniably gone. In this new role as curator, your entire existence would shift. You would no longer be a goal-oriented individual constantly racing against a clock. Instead, you would become purely observant, slowing down completely to the natural rhythm of the planet itself. You would just stand back and watch as forests slowly crawl back into empty downtown streets. You'd see wild animals roaming freely through abandoned suburban neighborhoods. Actually, within just a few years, packs of formerly domestic dogs would be out hunting in what used to be shopping mall parking lots. And without the massive light pollution of human cities blocking the view, you would look up to see the stars shining with an intensity completely unseen since the Industrial Revolution. The Earth would heal, and you would be its only witness. Section 3. The Last Curator. So the crucial point is, this extreme scenario actually reveals a whole lot about our everyday lives right now. It highlights how our daily drive, our routines, and our goals are fundamentally built on human connection. Which leads us to this. Why build a beautiful house? Why create anything if no other eyes will ever see it? We go to work, we build businesses, we create art, we strive for success. But this scenario strips all of that away, showing us that everything we do relies on the presence, the validation, and the shared experience of others. It leaves us with this final, profound question to ponder in that silent world. Why gather treasures? Why create anything at all if no one is there to appreciate it? It's the ultimate paradox. You would be completely free, able to go anywhere and do absolutely anything, entirely provided for by the ruins of the past. Yet you would be under the crushing weight of being utterly alone under those brilliantly shining stars. It really makes you realize that the most valuable thing we have in this busy, noisy world is each other. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.